Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the Bio at the Buzzer channel. Today, we are going to be covering something that, first of all, we just have to establish something. Luka Doncic has definitely proven to be an arguably top 5 player in this league. Now, originally when you would say top 5, that really was pushing it, but I honestly think you can make a case for Luka being top 5. Now, I'm definitely one of the biggest, supporters behind the whole, stats are empty unless you win. You can be putting up 50 a game, but if you're not winning, it doesn't matter. However, when you look at what Luka Doncic is doing, this is a whole new situation. When you're not only putting up 40 plus points a game, but you're also including, your teammates by almost averaging, or not really averaging, but almost, by putting up almost 15 assists per game. It is definitely something that I feel like is its own new category, and I am curious to know if you guys agree. So this video, what we're going to be doing is talking about the Dallas Mavericks, how they got eliminated in the playoffs this year, and what they can do to improve their team. If you guys do enjoy this video, do me a favor and smash that like button. If you guys are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into it. So let's take a look at the box score from Game 7, Clippers versus Mavericks here. Obviously, the Clippers did end up winning by 15, which is a pretty good amount, considering Luka Doncic of the Clippers did end up putting in 46 points, but also adding in 14 assists and 7 rebounds himself. Now, again, I've talked big in the past about how I don't really like people that stat pad, because a lot of the, stats that people will rack up obviously don't matter. If you're not winning the game, it doesn't really matter. But I do think that this is a different scenario here, because not only is he putting up 46 points in an elimination game, a Game 7, but also he was trying to get his teammates involved by also putting up 14 assists. Now, the thing is it's not like he was just chucking up shots. He did take 30 shots in this game, which does sound like a lot, but he was also the only one that was really moving. If you watch this game, a lot of his teammates were playing very stagnant. They were just playing the whole let's sit around and watch Luka game, and that's not really what you are, you can do, especially against a team like the Clippers. So before we talk about what really happened in this game, I do want to just take a look at this box score a little bit. Now, I'm a big fan of saying that box scores don't tell the full story, because when you look at this, Dorian Finney-Smith did put up 18 points, 10 rebounds, knocked in 4 threes. Okay, that's really not all that bad. I think that's pretty solid. Kristaps, he shot 6 of 12, 0 of 5 from 3. He had 11 rebounds with 16 points. Now, again, when you look at something like that and you say, okay, 16 points, 11 rebounds, that's not really all that bad. 5 out of the 6 of the shots that he missed were from the three-point line, but the problem is with Kristaps is he was not playing aggressive at all, and when you're 7'3", you have to be aggressive in the paint. You can't just be, standing there just letting people just throw you out the way. You can't be afraid to drive in, and that really does cause a big issue with this team. Now, also, you do see a guy like Boban. He did put up 14 points with 10 rebounds as well. Boban I do like for the Mavericks, because I feel like he is their bailout guy, where you can throw it to him, and as it's been shown in the past, Boban will catch it, turn around and throw it, and it does tend to go in. Why? Because he's like 7'6" and can just throw the ball almost or over almost anybody. But another problem with Boban is he actually has the ability to spread the floor a little bit, but his speed is very slow and unable to really keep up with a guy like Luka. Taking a look at the rest of the box score here, you did have Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a very big piece in their offense, and he shot 1 of 9 from 3. He is a really important shooter for their team, and he shot 1 of 9. So, really, when you look at this starting 5 here, I mean, if you just do the math really quick, the rest of the starting 5 took, they made 25 shots, which isn't, it sounds like it's not all that bad until you realize that they took a lot. And I mean a lot of shots to get there. I mean, that's 40. They took 50 shots. So Luka took 30. The rest of the starting lineup actually took 50 flat. So they made 25 out of their 50 shots, while Luka made 17 out of 30. Really, that's terrible. Now, another one of my big problems that I have with this game is you did have a guy like Trey Burke, who didn't really see playing time throughout this entire series, playing 7.5 minutes, almost actually 8 minutes in this game in crunch time. Playing late game is not really something that you want to just take a player, throw in, and just see what happens. Jalen Brunson only ended up playing 10.5 minutes this game, and I think this would have been a very good game for Brunson to go out there and really start playing and, seeing what he could do, because you already had a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. slacking and not making his shots. So putting another shooter out there probably would not have been all that bad of an idea. Trey Burke is a shooter, but he also wasn't playing, so it's not like he had that experience in this series. Now, Also, looking at this, you had a guy like Willie Cauley-Stein not even play, as well as Josh Green, which Josh Green is a rookie, so that does make sense, but Willie Cauley-Stein could have potentially provided some good minutes for them. However, I don't really think that that's a big deal, considering, again, he wasn't going to help them with their floor spacing or anything at that point. Now, really quick, I do just want to touch up on the Clippers here. Kawhi put in 28 points, shooting 10 of 15. Really good. Marcus Morris shot 23, or had 23 points, had 7 made threes this game, which again, we're going to talk about in just a second here. Paul George had 22 points with 2 of 8 shooting. Again, not good, but I mean, he also did add in 10 assists with 6 rebounds, which is pretty good as well. Reggie Jackson had 3 threes of his own. You had Terrence Mann with 2 threes of his own. Rondo knocking down a 3. Luke Kennard coming in, knocking down some threes. And the big reason why the Clippers were able to beat the Mavericks so easily is that the Mavericks do play zone. I don't know if people do know this, because I don't know if you guys watch the games or not, but they do actually run a zone. And that zone is normally pretty good. But the thing is you have to know that when you're playing a zone and the other team is knocking down threes, you can't stay in that zone. Obviously, you're going to have to take Boban out the game because you're not going to be able to match up man-to-man very well, but you can't just sit in a zone and expect that to just... It's not like my team where Algo's going to just take over and they're not going to be able to make anything. If they're hitting their shots, they're hitting their shots. And clearly, the zone was not working and they refused to make any changes, and that really was a big reason of why they lost this game. So taking a look at the Dallas Mavericks roster here, let's kind of talk about some changes that I think they should make with this roster. So right away, Tim Hardaway Jr., I think he is still good to go. I think he had a very bad game, and we're just going to leave it at that. However, I think he definitely earned his spot on this team. Jalen Brunson, I think, should stay on this team as well. I think that is obviously a guy that they could definitely use off their bench. Luka, obviously, he's going to be staying on this team. Trey Burke, I feel like, is somebody that can get replaced, but I mean, that really doesn't matter. Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, is a great piece next to Luka. The reason why is he's a really good defender and he's a really good perimeter shooter. And that's what they really need. They need to put 3-and-D guys next to Luka to really let Luka have that ability to attack the rim when he wants, but also be able to step back and hit those jumpers when he wants. But he also needs to have teammates that are going to be there to knock down threes and really be those 3-and-D players. One of those players should have been a guy in Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson played very well when he was with the Miami Heat. He went to the Sixers, played okay. Honestly, kind of took a step back in his career and then just completely I don't know, fell off when he was with the Mavericks. So getting rid of Josh Richardson, I really don't think would be all that bad of an idea. You have a guy in Dwight Powell. Now, Dwight Powell's been with the Mavericks for a while, and I think, again, he should be able to stay on this team. I think he is a good fit. Willie Cauley-Stein, I feel like, is a guy that can get replaced. Maxi Kleber is a great fit for their team as well. Again, that good 3-and-D guy. Kristaps, I think Kristaps has to be moved, and I'm going to talk about that, like, why in just a second here. The rest of their lineup, I think, is fine. I mean, obviously, I don't know why it says JJ Redick. I'm pretty sure JJ Redick is not on the Mavericks, but okay. But yeah, you do obviously have a guy in Boban. Boban, I think, is good to go. Again, he's their bailout guy. So let's talk about 2 really important things here. Now, the first thing is going to be the players that I think the Dallas Mavericks should target in this offseason. And I'm going to just talk about 2 main guys here, and one of them is going to be very obvious about what I'm going to be talking about once I talk about Kristaps. Now, what I think they should do is target 2 players specifically. I think they should go after Jay Crowder and Robert Covington. Those are 2 of the best 3-and-D players in this league, and I think they would pair so well next to Luka. The height of that lineup would be so good and so hard to really beat, especially if they do stick in their zones and everything like that. I think that's something that they could find a lot of success in. Having a guy like Luka, again, being able to run the offense, being a playmaker, attacking the rim, stepping back and hitting jump shots, but also having 2 really solid 3-and-D players, some of the best defenders in the league, but also being able to knock down shots in Jay Crowder and Robert Covington. Let's talk about trading a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, because this is something that I feel like has to happen. When you take a look at Kristaps' career here, the year before he did actually end up getting traded, if he played like this Kristaps, it would be a different story. This Kristaps averaged almost 23 points per game, 6.5 rebounds with 2.5 blocks per game, which is really good. He did actually average 5 3-point attempts per game, so him only shooting, 44% from the field really isn't all that bad, considering, again, he was actually taking a good amount of threes per game, and honestly, him shooting almost 40% from 3 is really solid. And I think this breakout year was really good for him in a sense where he really showed that he could have been a promising young player. The way he ran the floor, the way he blocked shots, it definitely is something that you could have perfectly paired up with Luka. Now, taking a look at obviously what happened when he got to the Mavericks, his three-point percentage obviously did drop a little bit. His field goal percentage did drop a little bit as well. He started taking more threes a game and not making, I mean, I guess it says, you know, he was, I guess, making a little bit more, but still, his percentage went down. And if we're being honest, you know, box scores, again, don't tell the full story. I really do think he took a step back as a player. Now, going even farther, I mean, this year, he improved a little bit on his three. I mean, his field goal percentage improved, but like, again, I just don't see it. I really just, I mean, again, this is why I tell you guys a lot that box scores don't tell the full story, is because when you look at this and you say 20 points, 9 rebounds, oh, that's not that bad. Really, though, it's pretty bad. He does not show up in the playoffs when they need him. He's always injured, and I really feel like he's just not a good fit with Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. So really what I think that they should do is target a guy in CJ McCollum. I think CJ McCollum would be really good next to Luka. The reason why is if you had another guy that could go out there and just get you a bucket, I think that would be perfect. And also, I think Kristaps being on the Blazers could actually benefit that team a lot more than, you know, than obviously what he's doing in Dallas. Now, if I was a Blazer fan, I necessarily don't think I would want that trade to go down because I think there would have to be more to it. Like, for instance, I think that the Mavericks would have to package, you know, Kristaps and Tim Hardaway Jr. and trade them for, you know, Rocco and CJ McCollum. So again, I don't necessarily know if that trade works out for both sides, but if you couldn't get that trade to go down, another option I would honestly look for is for a guy like Vucevic. Vucevic would be a really solid option on the Mavericks, and again, I think Kristaps being in Chicago could possibly rejuvenate his career and really, you know, have him break out into what he could have been again. And I think that does work out for both sides. If you're looking at the Chicago trade, you know, Kristaps gets over there. Maybe you involve Tim Hardaway Jr. Maybe you involve somebody else. Maybe you even throw in a guy like Willie Cauley-Stein, Trey Burke, whatever you have to do. Move Kristaps, get that better center, and now you could be potentially looking at a starting 5 next year of Luka Doncic. If they keep Tim Hardaway Jr., cool. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think you're now going to be looking at a lineup of Luka Doncic, Jay Crowder, Robert Covington, Maxi Kleber, and Nikola Vucevic. I think that's actually a pretty good contending team, especially when your best player is going to be Luka Doncic. But you guys let me know what you guys think, man. Do you guys think that the Dallas Mavericks could potentially make a lineup like that? Do you think that they need to blow it up a little bit, get rid of Kristaps, and build Luka a new team? You guys let me know what you guys think, though. I think the 3-and-D route is going to be perfect for that team, but they really got to be smart with what they do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and yeah, peace.